I think he's like doing his own sort of like killing his darlings sort of thing, because a lot of the people that he kind of like breaks down in this way, starting with Strieber, were like people he once like venerated as like cultural heroes.
Right. I love that what he says about Strieber is that, he's like, well, I'm taking what Strieber says at face value, like approaching it in a way that where he believes what he's saying and then interrogating it that way, which is because Strieber is one of those like very checkered characters, I think, where his story is, polarizing.
If you believe the Horsley angle on it, I mean, he's like pretty obviously an intelligence asset, which is, I mean, and he's someone who said that he has been that in the past.
Yeah.
In like back of the book bios that like, and that's no longer in them, but he was like, and has done like intelligence work in the past, like in like some of his really early horror novels. I mean, I love Whitley Strieber's stuff. I do think that the abduction, like that whole like sort of saga around his like developing like abduction experience, visitor experience, has like caused a lot of people a lot of like pain. I think a lot of people like, and like this is despite people who had real experiences, whatever that means.
Yeah.
In this world, but I think a lot of people like were deeply affected by reading Communion in the books, and like
it's responsible for like a huge interest in or even like just a projection of that model of the sort of form of contact comes from Strieber's story, right. I think,
this like necessarily horribly traumatic event that is also like this sacred event, and like the connection between the traumatic and the sacred is something that Horsley kind of investigates a lot from a critical perspective in his work. But so yeah, I've been reading that. I've been reading a book called The Philosophy of Conspiracy Theories, which is very fun. It's like an analytic-ish philosopher, Matthew R.X. Dentith, Dentith. It's like an academic book that is not against conspiracy theories. It's like it's very interesting because it's like usually from those like academic presses, it'll be like an approach to conspiracy theories about why it's like this like postmodern event that like people are like displaying like it's a symptom of something. And this book is like trying to philosophically engage why it's not that and why it's like a reasonable way to view the world.
Yeah.
So it's it's fun. It's not like super serious reading for me. I've been having a hard time doing that.
Yeah, I just finished up Egregors by Mark Stavish and James Wasserman. And I really love that one. I feel like that's I think it would be interesting for a lot of people to read in terms of what's going on right now politically and how divisive everything is. It just reminds me a lot of social media, and especially being on Twitter and stuff, and people engaging these sort of these egregores or these energy constructs of models of political thought. And it's in a way, it's like I wonder how much it directly affects people's lives, and if just engaging it in such a active way is just harmful. It kind of makes me feel that way. You're just feeding these like negative egregores.
I think that's fair.
So like if you looked towards the ocean or straight up, it was like as clear as it gets, like completely clear. Like you could see way more stars and way more depth than you usually ever can. And then if you look towards Manhattan, it was just a wall of clouds. So like all of New York City was completely blanketed in clouds, so they couldn't see any of the stuff we were seeing. So it seemed like we were witnessing something that either somehow we were targeted to see or that we just like wandered into by accident, which is probably the more likely thing. But like,
yeah, I mean, we didn't take any pictures or anything because we were so scared of like someone coming and killing us or something.
We
You can find this episode in its entirety and more exclusive content at patreon.com/consensusunreality.